Hello, beautiful people. My name's Amanda from Light of Alchemy, and today I'm going to be talking to you about mermaids, Atlantis, Lemuria, and we're going to do a little bit of a channeling to the mermaids as well. So I have got a few questions here as well, and I've got some notes. So these notes and channelings have been information that's come to me over the last 12 months. I've been working with mermaid energy for about 12 months now. And everything here is not facts. It is information that's come through from the divine, and it is information that's come through channeling. Now, I will go through the information with you guys. I'll share with you all of the things that I have been experiencing in my dreams and in my channeling, but also information that has been coming through for the collective as well. So I'm going to share some stuff that I've gone through as a light worker, as a starseed, and as a Neptunian, and as a Mintarkan. I'll share those things, and I'll also share collective messages as well. So this is my second video channeling to the mermaids. And the first video was incredible because it was basically all of the information that I was getting at that time. This time, it is more of, okay, there's some huge shifts happening with the collective. I thought by now, because that video was done a few months ago, that by now information would be coming out, but it hasn't. And I feel like a lot of us are just kind of sitting around waiting for something to happen, but nothing's really being exposed just yet. But it actually is. It's getting exposed right now. It's just that we're not able to see it just yet. So yeah, it's all happening behind the scenes. Things are brewing. So a little bit of background about me is that I am a Reiki practitioner, energy worker, and intuitive channel. And I also run retreats and events and things like that as well. I work with nature spirits, so I work with the Fae, and I recently have been working with the water element spirits, which is the mermaids. I am a Neptunian and a Mintarkan, which means that I am originally, I feel more at home in those other planets. Earth to me feels really dense and challenging, and I know that it's here. I'm here on this earth school for growth and for enlightenment, and I know a lot of other light workers have also chosen this path and this incarnation for enlightenment as well. So I have always felt a little bit different to society, and I have always been a very intuitive person. I would take myself off into fantasies when I was younger, and yeah, over the last few years, I have slowly started to really activate my gifts and to really listen to the messages from spirit and from beyond this veil. So I want to talk about mermaids. So mermaids have been around for a very long time. If you didn't watch my first video, I would recommend to go back and watch that, just so I'm not repeating myself. But mermaids have been around since the beginning of time, and in all of the old artwork and old music and folklore and mysticism, you will hear these tales of the mer people, and they are coming back now. I feel like mainstream are really pushing that as well. with movies like Avatar, because the new Avatar is really quite traumatic for those who have been on other planets when there's been wars like that. And even in Lemuria and Atlantis, it's quite traumatic to watch the new Avatar because we have this trauma imprinted on our soul from those days, which I'll talk about soon. But yeah, well, also the Little Mermaid as well. They've brought out a new Little Mermaid and King Triton. There's so much truth in that as well, and also the Black Witch as well. So there's a lot of truth in these old movies that they're bringing out again, and they're bringing it out again because there's no denying that this kind of energy is really potent at the moment for the collective. They're bringing it out for that reason, because they almost have to, because we're really our third eye and our imagination is going back into those worlds. So it's like they have to as well. But also the messages that I keep getting is that they're trying to almost brainwash us even more so by watching these movies, because what happens is when you have these memories from watching TV shows, what it does is it actually stops you and your connection to the real source, which is channeling the mermaids without the memories of the movies coming up for you. So a lot of the time when we channel, it's really important to use discernment. So I'm always very discerning of any messages that I receive from the divine or from spirit. Very discerning because of so much programming from movies that I've seen as a child, movies that I've seen now, even experiences that I've had in other lifetimes where I have had trauma from these events. So trauma can actually imprint on the soul. And what it does is it almost helps you when you're remembering, but it's really important to be discerning of that. Okay, is that a memory or is that a true message from the divine? So when you're watching shows like Avatar and like The Little Mermaid, which is incredible, just be really discerning of it as well, because there is a lot of truth in it, but there's also a lot of false information as well. So I've got some notes here about the mermaids, and I've got a lot of information, so I'm going to try and cover as much as I can. So mermaids, I mentioned it in the last video about them being sexual beings. They are so sexual, but they are also very strong with their boundaries and their sexual energy. So us as humans, we have this sexual energy, and a lot of the time we're only working from those bottom chakras. So that we're craving the desires and the things, and the it's quite arsenic. The Kundalini energy is not of the light. So a lot of us are channeling these messages without really working on our chakra system. And so we're working from these lower density, lower frequency energies. Mermaids, they've got like the energy is so alluring. But they're very discerning, and they've got a lot of boundaries with their energy, because they know that when they're always working from their sexual energy, it's creating too many desires, and it's not coming from the heart space. Now, mermaids don't have the chakra system like the humans do, but they have different types of energies that they can put on, for example. So, for example, they are shapeshifters. So they are able to turn on their sexual energy. They're able to turn on their disguise. They're able to camouflage themselves as well. So they use glamour to do those things as well. But humans in this day and age aren't very good at working from their top chakra system and their connection to the divine. A lot of us are working down here, which is all about the sexual urges. So yeah, mermaids are really good with their boundaries. They know that there is this there's a polarity with dark and light, even in the water world as well. And I have seen some pretty scary looking sirens and mermaids. So they don't want to attract any of those darker energies. So they know when to turn it on and when to turn it off as well. Yeah, so the transition from Lemuria to Atlantis, you hear these terms or these places, Lemuria and Atlantis, and is it the same thing? Is it different? What is all of this information that we're being given that is like just mythology? Because we don't really have any hardcore evidence yet, even though archaeologists are finding things and discovering new things that they don't want us to know. We don't have these hardcore facts yet, but what I can tell you from my channelings is that Lemuria was a magical place on this earth a very long time ago. We're talking like, I don't know, maybe 50, 60,000 years ago, maybe even more than that. So this is all before the Great Flood, which I'll get to in a minute. But Lemuria was an incredible place where a lot of very intelligent humanoids were living. Also, a lot of giants, dragons, aliens, all different types of species were living. Also, the fairies were in that as well, so all in this frequency. I feel like there were not whales and sharks, but other kind of beings that were working with the mermaids and working with the earth as well. So Lemuria, everyone had this incredible power. So they would heal this. There was no sick. There was no one that was sick there. Everyone was healthy. People didn't need as much things. They didn't even need as much food. The mermaids were living there at the time and they didn't eat any food, only a few pearls and a few little fish every now and then. They didn't need it. But the humans did need food, but not as much food as what we do eat here now. So yeah, they would live in harmony with each other. There was so much love. There was this beautiful love vibration. They were all telepathic. I keep seeing the palm coming up. So they would put their palms up towards each other. And from what I'm getting from that, because I keep visualizing this, I keep seeing this in my third eye, it's just like I see you, like, I see you, I am you. So they knew this universal law was that I am you, you are me. And there was just so much love because there was so much compassion. Everyone worked in harmony with each other. Everyone had a role. And even the ETs that were here at the time, the giants, the fairies, the dragons, all of these different species were all selectively picked. Not everyone was welcome to come to Earth. It was like they were almost selectively chosen to work here on the Earth and to create harmony and balance. So, and I also keep seeing the scales as well, like the Libran scales of like, okay, this is justice as well, like working with this polarity. Although there wasn't as much darkness back then, it was like more the scales were representing, okay, we're bringing this all into balance and into harmony. I just had to stop my video because the amount of coughing and blockage coming from my throat chakra was stopping me from sharing these messages, but I need to share these messages. A lot of us have got this trauma around speaking, and I'm on YouTube talking about mermaids. I'm not scared, but the old soul remembering and imprinting is like, this is not safe. But it's really, really important that I share these messages to the light workers that are here to help raise the collective consciousness with this huge shift that's happening on the earth. Nothing like this has ever happened. We're going through a huge cycle at the moment. We're going into this new phase where things are starting to feel like Lemurian days. And it's just a cycle. It's a cycle that is coming back again. So we're remembering. And because of this remembering, it's not always good memories that are coming up for us light workers. We're starting to, heal all of these past wounds and traumas that are holding us back. And there's nothing that's going to hold us back now. There's a huge dome of protection around this video as well. Yeah, this throat was just my soul remembering this trauma, but it's all good. Getting back to what I was talking about, which was ancient Atlantis. A lot of us were happy about it. I wasn't happy about the transition into Atlantis. It was almost like I could feel what was happening. I was seeing things that a lot of other people, a lot of other mer people and other people of the colonization they couldn't see what I could see. And I felt really lonely. I felt really lonely, similar to what's happening right now. And this is why a lot of us have woken up at this pivotal moment in history, because we're remembering. A lot of us have had lives, past lives in ancient Lemuria and Atlantis and on other planets where we have experienced war. A lot of us that are doing this work for the collective, it's not just about you and I. This work is huge. This is global. This is not even just global. This is about quantum entanglement. This is quantum physics. We're working with other star beings in other realms, on other planets, like, millions of light years away. We're doing this work, and it's not just about me or you. It's much, much bigger. Quantum entanglement is me doing this work here, and that kind of reflecting to the other side of the universe, and it also doing the work over there as well. So this is huge. But a lot of us that have had past lives in these times in history where we have gone to war, we've been in many, many battles. When we had that huge awakening in 2020, a lot of us remembered these past lives, and you can see in my body now, like the activation it had on my body. It wasn't just me. It was like so many people waking up at the exact same time. So you know what that does to the earth? It changes the frequency, because the people on the earth are changing. The earth is changing. And this is how we're kind of coming back into this cycle. But it's not going to end the way it did in Atlantis. It's not going to end like that this time. We know that it's not going to end like that. And we have taken all of these incredible tools and wisdom and knowledge that we've gathered over the many, many lives that we've had, and we are breaking shit down. We're tearing shit down, and we're creating a beautiful world where we all live in harmony like we did back in Lemurian days. We yearn for those days. We are craving those days. We long for those days again, and we can get it back. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. No, none of us need to force any of this on anybody else. We do the work on ourselves. We heal these past wounds and traumas, like my throat. We heal these things. by us healing, you're naturally healing your family, your lineage, your past lives, you're healing all of it. It's such powerful work. So yeah, a lot of us had this huge awakening in 2020, and we're going through this cycle again. And to share something personal about what happened to me when I woke up, it felt like my whole world was crumbling down, and it felt like I was going into battle again. And I had to put my armor back on, and I had to be strong this time. I didn't want it to become like Atlantis again, because I can see there's so many similarities. It just feels so familiar to me. I would love to know if this also feels familiar to you as well, because there's been, a lot of activations for us here. So Atlantis fell, which means there was a huge war. There was a huge war. People weren't working in harmony anymore. There was a lot of sadness. I just keep hearing the mermaids screaming and crying, singing in like these really sad, longing, grieving. I hear them crying, and they cry a lot. But when they were grieving over what happened to Atlantis, it was like something I'll never forget. I remember hearing them screaming and crying, and it was so sad. It was a really, really sad time. And a lot of us didn't survive those days. Most of us were killed during the Great Flood, the Younger Dryas. And that was around 12,800 years ago. And this Great Flood keeps coming up in my dreams. And I would also love to know if you're having dreams of floods as well, because this is what happened in that time, that cycle. And I keep having these visions of standing on the beach with all these people and aliens coming down, because this is what happened in Atlantis as well. They were coming down, and they weren't happy. It was a big mess. The whole thing was just a big mess. It didn't go according to plan. People were becoming so selfish and it was all about control and power and manipulation, manipulating the people. And it wasn't good. So what happened was the Great Flood came in, but it came in after Atlantis fell. So Atlantis fell from the war, and then the Younger Dryas, the flood, came in and it just destroyed everything. And the civilization known as Atlantis now is under the water. There's a lot of things that they're just not going to be able to see. The scientists are just not going to see it, because you know why? Their minds are like this. That's so tunnel vision. They can't expand their consciousness enough to be able to see the magic that's actually down there, that still lies there in the ocean. You can't see this stuff unless you've got an open mind, unless your consciousness has expanded enough to be able to see it. And a lot of them aren't even going to be able to see when a UFO comes down and comes down here to collect data or information. They're not going to be able to see it, because it's a different frequency, and they're only in one frequency. They're only in a 3D reality. Whereas a lot of us light workers are able to access all different realities and dimensions and timelines. So juicy. All right, so okay, I'm going to go through my notes. So during those times in Atlantis, there were dragons, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the dragons. So in Chinese mythology, it's not even mythology. I guess it's like religion. I'm not sure. I don't want to be disrespectful to their culture, but I know that they work with the dragon kings and there's 4 of them. There's north, south, east, and west, and they work around like protecting China, and they work with the people as well. These kind of dragons were around during ancient Atlantis and Lemurian times, not those exact ones, but similar. So they were working to protect the civilization. And this civilization was huge. It wasn't just in this little area on a little tiny island out in the Pacific Ocean. It was like the whole, because back then the earth looked very different. There wasn't much land. So Atlantis and Lemuria was pretty much everything. There was a little bit of land, but it took up a huge part of the world. So I kind of think of it like the monarchy, right? Atlantis was like that, but it ran this whole world kind of thing. So yeah, there was a lot of power, but not in a bad way. It was like this force, this wisdom and knowledge, and this incredible empowered force that was behind the people that were running the show. And yeah, sorry, going off track, the dragons were working with them, working with like the monarchy kind of thing, working with them to protect the lands and to protect the people. Yeah, so they were shapeshifters as well. The dragons would shapeshift as well as the mermaids would. The dragons were reptilian, but there were ones that kind of looked like birds as well. So they had feathers, and there were dragons that would breathe fire, but there were all different types of dragons with wings. So there was like an air dragon, there was a water dragon. There were like dragons of the elements, and yeah, they were incredible to work with as mermaids as well. So yeah, that's right. So getting back to what I was saying about the frequency, right? So coming back into these days right now, someone asked me why we can't see mermaids now. And I did kind of touch on this a little bit in the last video, but they don't like vibrations that remind them of Atlantis and when it fell. So it became busier, it became loud, it was very hard for them to work in harmony. So they kept going further and further away from where the civilizations were and where those cities were. They would move further away. They weren't happy there. So that's why they're nowhere near, like I'm from Melbourne in Victoria, Australia originally, and there were no mermaids around there at all near the city. There were some down near Apollo Bay in southern Victoria, and there were some over near Port Fairy, but yeah, there weren't any near the city. And the same with up here. I'm in Queensland now. There's only a few spots where you can feel their energy. I'm on the Sunshine Coast. They're not really here. I have connected with some here, but it's very hard, and it feels like they're so far away. But up north, where it's a little quieter, in these mermaid towns, you can definitely feel them. There's definitely mermaids in Lahaina, in Maui, in Hawaii as well. There's mermaids all around Hawaii. Even though it's loud there and it's quite touristy and it's a bit of a low vibe in some places, the Earth's frequency is high enough for them to be attracted to those areas still. So there's lots of mermaids there. Yeah. So yeah, when I was talking about trauma, oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just going over all my notes. So all right. Yeah, the Celts and the Norse and the Africans, Native American people all believed in the sea gods and the spirits as well. Oh, just one more thing I want to talk about before I get into the questions. I keep dreaming about these floods, right? So I'm standing on the beach, the aliens are coming in, and I'm screaming and I'm telling everyone to get up onto this mountain. And I'm pulling all of these people up, and I'm like, I'm safe on the mountain, but I'm pulling them all up, and I'm watching these huge floods come in. And it's just washing away all these houses, and it's pulling up all of the foundations, and it's almost like me remembering the time during the Great Flood. That's what I'm feeling and seeing in my dreams. I've also had dreams of mermaids, and I'm a shapeshifter. So I'm putting on these boots that make me human, and I'm trying to get back up. I'm trying to escape from the water because I don't want to be there anymore, because it was starting to become so dense and toxic and very low vibration. It was all like that sexual energy, and I didn't want to be there anymore. It felt so wrong. It just felt so wrong. So these shoes would make me become a human. So I was trying to always escape. And I feel like this is playing out in my lifetime now, always trying to run and escape and put this armor on and save the people and bring them up to the mountains. And these things are playing out in our lives again, because they're traumas from past lives. Yeah, so it's really interesting. Anyway, getting into the questions now. So I've answered a few of them already, but I've got a long one here that I wanted to share. Hello, I would like to know how we can find our mermaid family on Earth, please. When we are all separated from the fall of the mer worlds and came to Earth, the pain of us all being separated, some of the mer beings still don't remember, and we're so lonely. And the ones who do remember have the grief of missing their mer family. Yeah, I'll answer that one first. Yeah. So the more and more that we show up like this, even though it hurts, even though it's uncomfortable, this is how we find our mer family. This is how we connect again, by expressing ourselves when it feels safe, and sharing the pain that comes from that. And I think we found a lot of the mer family during 2020 when that happened, because it was so obvious. It was like, oh, you stand out. Yeah, you don't belong in this reality anymore. You're over here. So it was very obvious. And it was obvious because we were not conforming. So we all found each other again, and that was so beautiful. So we find each other by speaking our truth and by sharing, and that's by doing this. Like, I'm attracting a lot of mer people from all over the world, so it's incredible to connect to our families again. And you just know it's a soul connection. It's so deep, it's so beautiful. Yeah, so I feel that there is still too much separation from their mer family to get separated again because of the pain and suffering. How are we able to live in alignment without the separation, to live in harmony and unity? The love connection helps, but I feel that there's something deeper that can't be seen just yet. Yeah, so I feel that I just feel like there's going to be more things happening. And like I said at the beginning of the video, it's like something's going to happen, but I don't know what. I don't know what's going to come. And it could be something as big as what happened a few years ago. It could be something like as big as that, to bring us together. And then we will find each other. But we need to create more community. We need to get outside of our comfort zones. And even though it's so scary, and because we've been isolated for so long, we need to express ourselves. We need to share from a heart coherent space, and we'll find each other again. There is this great understanding for the ones who feel lost on Earth. I have tried the sonar call. Is there a certain symbol or call to channel to bring in our loved ones? Yeah, so there is a symbol. I'll draw it here. So the Triton symbol. So it's like, I'll draw it. So the Triton symbol, so it's also the Neptunian symbol. And with a circle around it, will call in the mermaid. So if you're ever channeling, I would draw that symbol, even just draw it in the air. So just visualize that, and then you can channel mermaid energy as well by using that symbol. To call out for the mermaids, you don't really need to do that much, except for putting your feet in the ocean, connecting with them, remembering that water holds memory. So by you just being in the water, the mermaids will feel you and you will remember them, and they will remember you because of the water holding that memory. You can also give an offering to the mermaids as well, and to the ocean, to the water spirit. So that could be like a flower petal, it could be a shell with infused love or a message from your heart. I wouldn't put a message in a bottle or anything like that, because we don't want to, they don't like that. But it can be a telepathic communication with them. Doesn't need to be on a piece of paper or anything like that. Also, they used to do blood work as well, which would be connecting to each other's blood to remember. So they would almost like tune into your memory and into your heart, and work like that on that deep level. We wouldn't do that now. Because we are not at that point on this earth as a collective to be doing stuff like that. Other question was the question. I had one. Oh, hang on, I'm going to go back. Oh, yeah. So they were interbreeding as well. The ETs would come down and also implant into humans, and also kind of like make them like hybrids. So they would be hybrid human and mixed with some kind of other star being. And the reason for that was mostly because they needed to bring in more light onto the planet to help with the transition. So that was happening a lot. Also, they were, kind of giants with mermaids, dragons with mermaids, these hybrid beings, which was carefully planned. It was planned in order to bring in different energies and powers to create more harmony on the earth. And it was all to do with that, because people would come to earth to learn, but also there's so much mystery and magic here as well that has been lost. So it was to kind of like bring that back. So that's that. I'm just going to pull a few cards and see any other final messages from the mermaids. It might look a little funny too, because I look around a lot when I'm channeling and I'm not really looking at the screen, but it's because I'm channeling. Everyone does it different. That's how I do it. I don't have any questions for them, but I'm just going to see what comes through. Child of the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you. So, this is also remembering that, we are a child of the cosmos. We're also a guardian of the earth as well. And we have all of this incredible wisdom within us. It all lays within, and we just need to remember and activate that. So it doesn't matter how many books we read or how many courses we do and how much information we take on. it's just going to be activating and remembering. So yeah, you don't need to read all of the books. It all lies within. The one thing that I would recommend to do is just meditate and slow down your mind as much as possible to access this incredible wisdom that you hold within as well. So that kind of intelligence is what was going on in ancient Lemurian times and during Atlantis as well. Another message from the mermaids. Inner Earth, you'll survive this. New solutions and beginnings. I love this one. How beautiful. I do feel like we're entering this incredible portal of magic. Inner Earth. So you'll survive this. It can feel like, you know what, this is really heavy stuff. And yeah, it feels like sometimes we're not strong enough, but we are. You chose to incarnate here at this incredible time in history. So you are strong enough, and there's new beginnings happening. The only thing we need to do is keep standing true in our power, keep being sovereign, keep being discerning, create boundaries, and really create these communities for like-minded people, mer people. I love that too. One more card. One more card. Cracked open, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. No one really wants to hear that, but it's true. We have to hit rock bottom sometimes. And it's like that beautiful, well, I'm calling it like the medicine that comes from the rock bottom. It's incredible medicine. When you first hit rock bottom and you taste that medicine, it's really bitter and horrible and it's dark. But if you've already hit rock bottom in the past and you're on this journey of doing this light work, that medicine's going to get sweeter and sweeter. It's not going to be as hard. It's not going to hurt as much. But the rock bottom has to happen. If you haven't hit rock bottom yet, yeah, it has to happen. I hate to say, but I'm sure that most of us have hit rock bottom, even as a child. If you can't remember hitting rock bottom, you have probably hit rock bottom in a past life, and you're doing the work now. But yeah, it's cracking us wide open. We're cracking wide open. And in these cracks, the light seeps in. I forget that saying, but where the cracks are, the light seeps through and it gets brighter. It gets brighter and brighter. So surrender to the alchemy of life. Surrender to this huge transformation that's happening. Love it. Thank you so much, guys. Please reach out if you have any questions. I love connecting with other star seeds, mer people, fairies. Yeah, I love all of this. So please reach out to me on Instagram, which is light_of_alchemy, or you can email me. I'll put all my details here. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sending you so many blessings, and it's so amazing to connect with our soul family again here in this way with this incredible technology. Yeah. Mwah.